Imagine you catch this disease. You will never sleep again. Not once. Not a single hour. No pill will help. No sedative will touch it. Your brain will simply refuse to shut down ever again. And within months, that will kill you. This is not hypothetical. This disease exists. It has a name. And somewhere in the world right now, there are people carrying the gene for it who have no idea. It's called Fatal Familial Insomnia. And today, we're going to follow two people it destroyed. One was a music teacher in Chicago named Michael Corke. He was 40 years old when it started, with something so ordinary, so easy to dismiss, that he didn't think twice about it. A few restless nights. That's all it took. To understand what killed Michael Corke, we need to go to Venice. And we need to go back, much further back. For over 200 years, a family in Venice, Italy had been quietly dying in the same way. Generation after generation, family members would reach middle age, start sweating inexplicably, lose the ability to sleep, and die within months. No one knew why. Doctors listed their causes of death as nervous exhaustion, encephalitis, sometimes even schizophrenia. The family kept it mostly secret. A private tragedy passed down like an heirloom no one wanted. Then, in 1983, a man the medical world would come to know only as Silvano walked into a sleep clinic at the University of Bologna. He already knew what was coming. He had watched his father die from it. He had watched his two sisters die from it. Now, standing in front of a sleep researcher named Dr. Ignazio Reuter, he was sweating through his shirt in a room temperature office, and he couldn't remember the last time he'd had a full night's sleep. He made one request before the disease took everything from him. He wanted to be recorded, his decline, his symptoms, everything, so that future doctors might understand what was happening. And he donated his brain, in advance, for research, for the people who would come after him. Dr. Reuter had never seen anything like this. He called in his colleague, a world-renowned sleep expert named Dr. Elio Lugaresi. Lugaresi had studied sleep for over 30 years. He later said he had never seen anything like it either. They admitted Silvano to the clinic, and they watched. What they documented over the following months was deeply unsettling. Silvano's eyes almost never fully closed. He existed in a strange in-between state. Not awake, not asleep, but something else entirely. Something that didn't have a name yet. At times, he would appear to mime actions from daily life. Combing his hair, buttoning a shirt. He wasn't conscious, but he wasn't asleep either. He was somewhere in between, lost in what neurologists would later call oniric stupor, a waking dream acted out in real time. His body was running at full emergency, heart racing, blood pressure climbing, sweating constantly, even while lying still. The part of the nervous system that's supposed to regulate all of this, the part that runs your body on autopilot, had lost its off switch. After 6 months of this, Silvano died. He was 52 years old. His brain was removed, rushed through customs, and sent to a pathologist in the United States. Dr. Pierluigi Gambetti at Case Western Reserve University, Lugaresi's former student, the person best positioned to understand what had been happening. Gambetti examined the brain tissue carefully. Most of it looked completely normal. But then, he found it. Deep in the center of the brain, a small structure called the the thalamus. And the thalamus looked like a sponge, full of tiny holes, dead cells, destruction. At that moment, Gambetti later said, he knew what this disease probably was. A prion disease, caused not by a virus, not by bacteria, but by a protein that had simply folded the wrong way. In 1986, Lugaresi, Gambetti, and their colleagues published their findings in the New England Journal of Medicine. They gave the disease its name, Fatal Familial Insomnia, FFI. So what is actually happening inside the brain? Let's break it down simply. Your brain runs on proteins, and one of them breaks. And when it breaks, it spreads. Most of the time this works perfectly, but sometimes a protein folds wrong. And in FFI, that one misfolded protein does something almost unbelievable. It touches a healthy protein next to it and corrupts it. That corrupted protein then corrupts the next one and the next. Slowly, silently, for years before a single symptom appears. This is what a prion disease is. Not a virus, not a bacteria, just a shape. Spreading, and in FFY, this spreading targets one specific place. A small structure called the thalamus. Think of it as a control room. It manages your senses, your movement, your consciousness, and most critically, it controls sleep. It's the switch that allows your brain to shut down at night. FI destroys that switch, neuron by neuron, until nothing is left. That's why sleeping pills don't work. You can't activate a switch that no longer exists. That's why the doctors who treated Michael Corke induced a coma, and his brain still didn't sleep. The hardware was gone. One mutation, one wrong amino acid, one broken switch. That's the entire mechanism of FFI, and it is completely untreatable. If one of your parents carries this mutation, you have a 50-50 chance of inheriting it. Most people who carry it don't know until their 40s or 50s, when it suddenly switches on. With no warning, no trigger, no way to stop it. Back in Chicago, 1991. 5 years after that paper was published, Michael Corke started having trouble sleeping just before his 40th birthday. His doctors initially suspected multiple sclerosis, then depression, then both. No one connected his symptoms to a disease that had been formally described less than a decade earlier. In the pages of a medical journal, under the name of an Italian family from Venice. By the time the right diagnosis arrived, it was too late to matter. There was nothing to be done except try to ease the suffering. They induced the coma. His brain refused to cooperate. He had gone 130 consecutive days without true sleep when he could no longer hold a conversation, only managing yes or no. A few weeks later, in 1993, a month after his 42nd birthday, Michael Corke died. His case was later documented in a BBC film called The Man Who Never Slept. It is hard to watch. What stays with most people who learn about Michael Corke is not the horror of the disease. It's how ordinary the beginning was. A few restless nights. That's all it took to set everything in motion. Worldwide, just over 200 individuals are confirmed to carry the FFI mutation, traced across more than 50 families. And then there are the sporadic cases. Patients with no mutation, no family history, who develop the same disease spontaneously. About 30 of those have ever been recorded. Science doesn't fully understand why. There is, cautiously, some hope on the horizon. Researchers are exploring gene silencing therapies, approaches that could reduce the production of the prion protein before the misfolding cascade begins. Nothing is approved yet. But for families who carry this gene and are watching the science closely, these developments matter enormously. Silvano knew he was going to die. He donated his brain and let strangers document his final months, so that something might come from his suffering. Because of that decision, that extraordinary act of generosity in the face of a death sentence, the disease has a name, and the science has somewhere to start. That's what makes FFI unlike almost any other disease in medicine. It's not just a story about a broken gene, it's a story about what people do when they find out they're carrying one. And somewhere in the world right now, there are people who carry this mutation and don't know it yet. Living normally, sleeping fine, unaware that deep in a gene they inherited, a single amino acid is sitting in the wrong place. If this case stayed with you, there are more like it. Every week on MORBICORE, we go inside conditions that medicine is still learning to understand. Cases that are rare, strange, and deeply human. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if there's a case you think deserves to be told, leave it in the comments. I read every single one.